and welcome back to the VictoriousWool podcast. I'm Victoria. I'm a knitwear designer living in the Pacific Northwest, and this is episode 38. Did I say that already? Episode 38. It's really hot today. Usually I record in the morning, and it's like almost 5. I thought, I can do it. I can sit down and record. I just did something for a knit design that I've been needing to do for a long time, so I got really excited. And I thought, I've just got, I can sit down for 30 minutes and record all these new things. I have several new things. I recorded last week and somehow I knit a lot and I have a lot to show you, so I'm really excited to record sooner rather than later. The most important thing, we start with the most important, most exciting, is I finished this Lopi shawl. I showed it last time. I've been working on this kind of as a concept for a really long time. And even though I shut the window, I turned the fan off, I closed the door so that you could hear me really well. So it's really warm in here. I am going to try it on anyways. Actually, this is the first time I've tried it on. I tend to do that. I tend to not, I tend to try things on camera first. So at the time, I just get so distracted. I don't end up checking out how something looks. So, I will also have put footage in at the beginning so you can see it. Me wearing it, but I put the tassels on today. It fits perfectly. This is the perfect sized shawl, I gotta say. So my waist is like here, my hips are here. The tassels just make it a little longer, give it some weight so that it stays in place a little bit more. And you've been paying attention to what I keep saying about shawls is that I don't like when they fall off and get like moved around and stuff. So it is actually long enough to tuck in. So it could be like this. Oh, so cute. I made these tassels yesterday and they're all slightly different sizes because I was watching television at the time I was making them. So I was like, oh shoot, how many times did I wrap? I counted the last time, so I can write that in the pattern. It's 50 wraps. I don't think anybody will be able to tell that they're different, but they're so cute. And then I had to wash them because two of them were made with the end of a skein, so they were really kinky. And I'm happy to say that the Lopi blocked them all nice and tidy. Anyways, as I said last time, and you could probably tell from last episode, you cast on all the stitches at once, 264, and then you decrease on each side, every row. So you get this just beautiful, steep decrease that gives you a wingspan of about 6 feet and a depth of about 20. So you've got, your depth is only a third of what your wingspan is. So you don't end up with this huge piece that has all this fabric that's like on your chest, and that is ideal. So I'm really excited to start writing this up. I'm also excited just to like make more shawls that are like this too, because Aya is one of them, the Linus shape, that I just find to be very practical and very easy to make because they're just not a lot of work. This was so fast. And I probably said last time that probably the first 4 to 6 inches was the only thing that took actual like effort. Everything else just swoop happened. So it's like a quick incline and then a free fall the rest of it because it finished itself up. And I'm definitely going to make another one before release day, so you'll get to see me make it again. And I do love tassels. I should put tassels on everything. I even saw someone had an umbrella that was folded up for like an outdoor table that had little tassels around the side. And I thought, oh, I could totally make tassels for my outside umbrella. Anyways, I contacted my tech editor this week, and I will start the formatting and official writing process next week. Now that I have all the specs, you know, I weighed it. I took gauge measurements, both stitch and row gauge. Made the tassels, attached them today. I had to block the shawl to figure out, based on how much it weighs, how many skeins to recommend, how much total yardage I used, all that stuff. That sometimes I like don't do it until I'm already quite into the writing process. I get all like sucked into the directions, writing the directions and making them as user friendly as possible, and I just totally like don't even think about the actual specs of the physical piece. And this time I was like, oh no, I need to totally measure it, and so everything's done. I'm gonna just take some fun photos this week too. Start posting about it more to Instagram, but I'm really excited. So I hope to publish it at least by November, maybe a little later. You know, it depends on it. All the other people I have to collaborate with now. So excited. The other thing I did a lot of progress on, weirdly, sort of got sucked in, was Easy V, that I've been knitting a pattern of Caitlin Hunter's for quite a few weeks. July, maybe, most of July. Anyways, I knit both the sleeves. Like, bam. There's one, there's two. I can't really say why I got so obsessive about it. I was knitting the body and was bored because I picked a very, very neutral board, plain neutral color. And I thought, well, yeah, like I said last time, I'll just do the sleeves. Maybe one, and I'll go back to the body, or maybe both. I got to the color work, and the color work was super fun. My stitch count of course I modified the sleeves. Of course I did. I don't think I can knit a sleeve according to someone else's directions anymore. I just can't do it. I'm just like, I'm putting it on and I'm measuring against my arm and being like, I think it needs to be a little narrower here, and I think I need to start decreasing, and I just do whatever, and then I write it down and I do the other side. So I think you were just supposed to pretty much knit it straight, but as you can see, unblocked, it sort of was like, and then, But when I got to here, I had 48 stitches. So doing color work with a worsted weight yarn on size 8, 48 stitches on a 9-inch circular is super fast and speedy. And so just really, really lovely. And I haven't blocked these yet, and they look so good. I do color work on small circumferences with consistent repeats, like 3-in-1 and 3-in-1 and 3-in-1, which is entirely what this whole sleeve is. I do that really well. Like, the color work just looks so good. If you look up at the yoke, however, things are a little bit more wonky, a little bit more wavy. But anyway, it's still gonna look really cute. And I put the body back on, and something that's really been working for me this week that I do often is like, there's all these like little steps that we have to do in knitting. You know, like something I wrote down on my to-do list was, once the second sleeve was done, I need to get the body back on the needles, and not just like wrap it up and put it away, but like get it back on the needles and get it like into it again. I don't have to knit on a lot of it. I don't have to knit on it every day, but like I need to like have it going, as opposed to like, oh yeah, I have to put it back on the needles, and then I'll have to decide if I'm going to do another short row or two, and then I have to decide if I'm going to like start to take in the body or not. And I like just don't do anything. So one way to get around this is just like doing the next thing. What's the next thing? And yesterday I had in my list, it was like finish the sleeve, get the body back on the needles, make tassels, block the measure the weight of my shawl, block the tassels, measure the gauge of my shawl, and like all these like little incremental things, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing. And yeah, and so like I just slowly like creeped forward, and I think I knit probably make 3/4 of an inch on this last night on the body. So that's little bits every day. That's how you get through stuff that's, you know, not super exciting, just stockinette, neutral color, and all the like exciting bits are over. So I'm thinking I might be able to finish it by mid-September. I would love to say by the end of August, but I also have so many other things that I don't want to. I like giving myself goals that I can achieve for sure, and then finishing early. That feels so good. I have some new cast-ons. I had a full moon cast on with my friends Jennifer and Tanya, both who live in Canada. Good knitting friends I met on Instagram and then in real life. And we all cast on a sock pattern. We all had different ones. So this is Waiting for Henry, just the very beginnings of it. I'll write down the designer's name. I think it's Tabitha something. Anyway, I'll write it in my show notes below. But there's going to be these little pink arrows pointing all in the same direction with this. This is a mini skein from a Homespun House. I think it is probably part of her Patreon mini, where if you follow her on Patreon, and you pay that, maybe one of the highest tiers, or the highest tier, you get little minis every month. And so this is sort of like a dusty pink, rusty color that I thought would just be like a subtle contrast to the brown, which is black walnut from Lichen and Lace stock yarn, which is a 80/20. And then I also have the same base in the linen colorway that I used, which I really had to dig around in my stash to find because I had made a pair of socks ended up giving them to my mom. And so I didn't remember making them and didn't have them in my sock drawer. So it was like, where is this yarn? I took almost my whole stash apart. Lots of bags came down, lots of bags from in there. And I was like, I did not use this yarn. And then I thought, well, maybe I knit it for my mom, and talked to her, found out, yes. Found the socks, brought them in here, and then started looking through all the bags all the bags of leftovers to find it, and I found it. I think it's right here. So I haven't knit on this since the Friday, but I think it'll be fun. I don't think it would be really cool if we could do like a pair of moon socks every month, but maybe we should do every other month. What do you think, guys? I know you're watching. Every other month we do a moon cast on, because I don't think I can keep up with doing 2 socks a month because I just don't have enough time for that. I know you probably both do, but because I also have other things I cast on, both for work and for fun. I cast on an Amigas, which I should be wearing to show you. I'll try to remember, if I make any progress on it next time, I'll try to remember to bring in the pink one, to wear the pink one. I made like a rosy pink. It's a tank, has no sleeves. You start on one side and you knit across and you start on the other. So this is the part of this. It'll be right here. And they are diagonal knits and purls. And then at this point, I'm pretty sure I'm at the point where I'm going to start knitting, just stockinette. And I'm using Brooklyn Tweed's Arbor. I think this is Hammock. It's a little bit more yellow than I would prefer, but man, I'm so picky about my whites. Picky about all my colors, but like, it's so weird to be like so picky about white. I really like a good oatmeal. I'll show you one in a second that I think is perfect, but I'm still gonna really love it. And I was wearing the pink version that looks really good with linen shorts. It's perfect for a day that's at least 70 to 80 degrees, and it has just like the pink one has cotton. Right. I think it's a cotton. It's from a yarn from Magpie Fibers called Solstice. Is that true? I don't want to say the wrong thing. If I say the wrong thing, I will correct it in the show notes. But it's a yarn that's no longer produced anymore, and so I looked for an alternative. It's a bad time to buy summer yarn because summer's over, and so the colors that I wanted were all sold out of a lot of different ones, and I was really, really adamant the night that I had this idea that I was just going to buy yarn right away because I wanted to cast on. Because this is what I do every year, is that August comes and I haven't started any summer-like projects, and then I get inspired because it's hot, and maybe I wear my summer knits like I was wearing that pink one, and I just like decide that I'm going to make something. So this isn't going to be done before summer's over. So it's okay that it's made out of 100% wool, because hopefully I'll wear it underneath a cardigan. How cute will that be? This is the swatch that I made. And I like how much there's space in between. I used to not like that. I used to only like dense gauges, but I'm starting to really like open gauges. They're easier on the hands because you're not having to squeeze a lot of fabric into a smaller amount of space. Anyways, I really like them. You probably can't see a little bit, maybe some space in between. The other thing I swatched for recently was the First Light sweater, which I'll also link below. I swatched last week in the round with holding 2 strands of Plotulopi, which is this unspun Icelandic wool. I'm going to talk about this format of yarn in a second, but it's a pretty fast, this is, worsted weight, such a beautiful yarn. I love it. And when I was starting to knit with it, I was like, I missed working with this. It's just such a unique yarn. It is hard on the hands only because it's not spun, so it doesn't have as much bounce. Wool still is stretchy, so it has more stretch than a linen or a cotton, but it's the spin on a wool that gives it that extra, and makes it easier to knit with. So it being unspun, it's a little hard wearing on the hands, but I decided last night, so I had measured this swatch. This is the most perfect oatmeal ever. I love this color so much. It's got some beautiful variations in it, like a tawny brown every once in a while, and it's just so good. I'm gonna be so happy with it. It looks better in person, I have to say, than what I'm seeing showing up on camera. It's so good. I measured and did the calculations last night because I knew I didn't get gauge. Gauge was 16 stitches and 4 inches, and I had 18.5 or something. So my stitches are a little smaller. And so I compared what the first 3 sizes with the patterns gauge, what those bust measurements would be to the gauge I got if I knit size 1, 2, or 3, and what those bust measurements would be. It's just a quick calculation. I just did it 3 times and compared across to what it would be, what the ease was supposed to be. There's 2 different eases. There's relaxed fit and oversized, and I wanted to see like how much ease this gauge would get me, and I decided that ultimately it's going to be too small. I would have to go up to maybe the 4th or 5th size, which would be a lot more stitches, first of all, and because it's denser, it's going to be a little bit harder wearing on my hands. So I cast on another swatch yesterday, and you probably won't be able to see on camera so much, but the stitches are much bigger. I like them both. They're just so beautiful. God, I love this yarn so much. Yeah, you can see like a little bit more of my hand through it. I used a size 9. I went from a 7 with the first swatch to a size 9 because, when you go up just 1, it often is like not quite big enough. And I needed to go up by a whole half a stitch per inch. So I haven't measured it yet because I just pulled it off the blocking mat, but I'm really excited. And this is like just a lighter, yeah, it's so good to play around with yarns and just like experiment because yeah, they both feel good, but this one just feels like more, it's just dense, more dense. So the other thing I wanted to say, I bring that up just because a lot of times I talk about how I swatch once and then I just adapt the pattern or I choose a different size. I don't, you know, always swatch again. And when I looked at the numbers last night, I just could tell I was going to be better off trying to get gauge with a different size needle than to just pick a different size. And also to understand that the yarn would be easier on my hands. And ultimately, I knit almost all the time this year. I've been knitting a Lopi project and I want to continue to do that. And so I need to like try where I can to make it easier for me. So, and I think having a lighter weight sweater is always more comfortable in something that's not so tight. So this will help me like pick the best size. What was I going to say? Right. The denseness, having it more holes in it isn't going to be a problem because Lopi is really warm anyways. So even with this much space in between the stitches, it's going to be plenty warm. The thing I wanted to say about this is I always pull when I don't think I've knit a project with Plotulopi or an unspun yarn where I didn't hold it double. So this is supposedly a lace weight or a fingering weight when it's on its own, but I've only ever used it going double. So I always pull, not from two different plates, from the same plate, one from the inside and then from the outside, so that when it's sitting flat, you can pull up to pull the threads together. The reason you want to do that is because if you pull it at an angle, it doesn't take very much to pull it apart. So I knit these two swatches. I haven't broken it yet. I think I knit sometimes even easier than this. This is holding together pretty well. But I was going to say that the first sweater I knit, the Forager from Melody Hoffman in green that I knit with this and a mohair strand. I think I was using two different plates and the mohair one, and they were in a basket and, you know, just inking on them and stuff. And you really can't ink on it. You have to pull up and gently gather like a yard or two or whatever. And this yarn, or this project, has blue. And I do also want to buy an orange Lopi color because there's embroidery that's on this yoke too. I can't wait to show you. I'll show you the swatch when I've done it. You knit color work with this and then you embroider with a lighter blue, and then I thought I would go ahead and order an orange and embroider orange on. Creative goals for August are going pretty well. I need to get, for several days I would think about what was my favorite thing that I made today when I was going to sleep, and I would wake up and think, oh, what am I excited about making today? And I kind of fell out of that because, you know, it's not a habit yet. So I need to pull that back. But I have had lots of days where I was excited to get up and create things, even if I didn't have that thought. So I think it's generally like going okay. And I had goals of being in the present day. I feel like that's going really well because it's August 17th. So it's I could say it's gone by really quickly, but I do remember each day. And it feels like I'm aware enough that I'm getting to experience enough of the time of the day, enough of the time in the month I won't feel like I missed it. So I think that's helping too. I was gonna grab this book that I've been reading. I forgot to grab it. I have it on audio. That's how I I listened to it, but I have a physical copy too, and I don't remember the author's name. I also have to look at my show notes below. It's called 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals. Let me know if you've heard of this book or read this book. It's pretty great. I think it's probably going to be my favorite book this year. Mostly it's about embracing how finite our lives are. 4,000 weeks is the amount of time that we are alive generally. If we live for 80 or 90 years, it's about 4,000 weeks. That's it. That's all we get. So the whole book is like just about what to choose to do with your time, because it's so limited, and how we like to avoid acknowledging that we have such limited time. So it just fit perfectly in with my theme of like being more conscious about what I'm creating and wanting to have creativity be the focus of every day. I did get some yarn from Pearl Soho when they had their sale, but I think I'll save it for next time to show you, because I just had a lot to show you today, and I don't always have that this much. I just realized that I didn't show you about this. I just cast this on like, I don't know, 40 minutes ago. Can you see the rib? The little 2x2 rib? This is version 2 of the striped socks. Striped socks didn't fit me, so I've been needing to like change things. I went up a needle size, and I picked a different, same yarn, but different colorway. This is tweed, so it will be a little bit different, of course, because there's like tweed thick bits. This is the main color, and then this is the contrasting color, which is perfect for fall. I'm very excited to see these two come together. And I finally just like looked at the numbers and decided like what to cast on would need to be. So I'm excited that I finally moved forward on it now that some other things are finished. And the last thing I wanted to ask you is if I've been watching my friend Casey has a young folk knits podcast. Her podcast is great, and I watched a bunch of the episodes this week. I was catching up, and she asked her followers if they wanted to know anything about her, and they can ask a question that she would then answer in the next episode. So I thought that would be really fun to do here. So if you have a question for me about knit design, about any of my patterns, about fit, because I talk about fit a lot. I'm not an expert, but I talk about it a lot. There's some people that have asked me some really good questions in the comments and on Instagram that would be fun probably for me to go on a little bit longer about on here. It's always easier to talk about knitted topics than it is to type about it, because it's like, how do you explain in words, in written form? It's a little tricky. So if you have a question for me, you can ask about my business. You can ask about where I live. Yeah, and that would be fun, and I'll answer it. So, but anyways, I hope you have a good rest of August. If you're preparing to go back to school, or preparing for your kids to go back to school, I hope that all goes well and it's fun. And that you can enjoy some warm weather before we start to feel the turn. I haven't seen any leaves starting yet. Sometimes I can mid-August, the maples already start to get exhausted and be like, okay, enough with the hot. We want to fall. But yeah, all their clusters of the seeds that spiral, those have all appeared like really heavy and ready. So preparing. Anyways, so ask me a question in the comments. I'd love to know what you want to know, and I'll talk to you later.